Hi, welcome to Foundation course on Communication and Soft Skills 2. This is our second session which we already started it on Friday. So Friday we got some little basics about why English is called a non-phonetic language, why English is is read the way it is, and today we will just start off with a little recap and then we'll move on to the agenda of the day. So if you guys remember, people who were tuned in on Friday, we learned few specific terms that are very important in order to master communication, eventually to also better our communication skills. So let me just go ahead and do a little recap for the benefit of everyone, people who missed out and people who actually went through this live course which was happening on Friday. So it's going to be a more like a revision for you all. So stay tuned in. We have a lot of topics to be covered today, and these are the most important topics in order to take up mastery on communication skills. So let me move ahead and tell you all the terms. Once again, regional influence, like we have actually went through this in detail. So regional influence also in the abbreviated form is called RI. So when I say RI, I actually mean regional influence out there. So regional influence is nothing but just because of my environment, just because of the region that I come in, the region that I belong to, is where I pick up certain sounds which are very familiar for that particular region, that particular native language, and hence that comes in very naturally to me each time when I speak English. For this, let me give you a better example. So every time people from different regions of India, when they speak English, you can actually figure out whether they are, they belong to certain parts of India, and that prominent accent or dialect is carried by people from North India, people from South India. So somebody speaking English in Andhra Pradesh to somebody speaking English in Tamil Nadu, it's a very evident information that we can understand that this set of people or these group of people, they come in from these specific regions of India. So next time when you're interacting, next time you are almost already in the process of bettering your communication skills. So start observing these subtle differences when you talk to somebody from north region of India and when you talk to somebody from the south region of India, and your own accent as well is something you have to really observe. So the word regional influence is very simple. The region that I belong to has a heavy influence on my English language. English being a second language for all of us, it is not a native language, unlike or until unless you actually speak English and you have the environment of a set of people who speak only in English. Certain sounds which get attached to your language, sounds such as bh in case of people from Orissa and the entire Bengal belt, where v is being replaced by bh. Sir is being replaced by sh because of my first language influence. Likewise, in Telugu, we had a concern and a constraint that we've discussed on Friday in the previous session, that we have a concern for the sound called j. So j has always been a challenge for all of us because this doesn't exist in a first language of Telugu, and hence it has been not taken as a sound that can be learnt easily because I have never got this in my first language. Might be in all possibility that it could be a little difficult for us to pick up this sound and start and apply the same knowledge of sound to words such as treasure, measure, pleasure, visual, casual. All these set of words take this sound j. So the nearest sound which is being replaced with j is your z sound, just because it's very near, and more or less we have z sound in all the Indian languages, in all the regional languages. So z when replaced with j gives us an incorrect pronunciation for the same set of words such as measure, pleasure. You end up pronouncing it incorrectly as measure, pleasure, treasure, because the zh is being replaced by z. So that's to do with your regional influence. I would really suggest you all to browse through, understand this topic in detail to achieve mastery on communication. In case you have any specific doubts, you can certainly reach us back to. The other word that I've extensively discussed was MTI, which is your mother tongue interference. So this again has a heavy toll on our language of English. For simple reason, I translate all my Hindi, Telugu, my first language phrases in English. The other day we have given an example in Telugu. So a classic phrase that you and me, we end up talking to people is like, morning I had water. If I translate, this is a literal translation of Hindi in Telugu. So when I say it in Telugu, it is poduna poduna neel taginanu. So which is classically not considered as a standard phrase in English, and to somebody who speaks English as a first language, because this doesn't add any meaning to it. Likewise in Hindi, the same phrase is considered as incorrect when I literally have translated as subah subah maine pani piya to morning I had water. So this is something we have to next time keep in mind. There are a lot of such phrases we have not given a little thought to ourselves when we were translating it from Hindi and Telugu to English. So the other classic phrase is आपका शुभ नाम क्या है, मी इंटी पेर एंटी. So what is your good name? So there is nothing called good name, and all you have to ask a person when you're interacting with him or her is just like your name, or how are you addressed as, or what is your first name, what is your second name, and what is your comfort level if I address you with your first name. So these are the standard phrases when you're talking, interacting with people, especially in the interview process, because this course aims you to not just master overall in your communication, but the main agenda is that you clear the discussions, you clear your interviews with the whatever desired organizations that you are looking out for. So let's move on to the slide that we were discussing the other day on, and extensively let's work towards sounds, because at least about a couple of classes more, sessions more, we have to focus heavily there in order to achieve self mastery on the sounds, so that you guys are independent by yourself and you don't necessarily need a specific resource to help you, assist you be there. So let's move to the slide of awareness again. So we were discussing about the alphabet and the letters. So we have 26 letters in English language, with English alphabet as an alphabet, with consonant sounds as 44. So the entire sound count is 44. However, the consonant sounds take number is your 24. Vowel sounds are 20 in English language. Likewise, consonant letters are 21 and the vowel letters are 5. So these are quite a fundamental a list of pointers for us to understand why English is spoken the way it is spoken, why English is written the way it is written. So this as well can give you little awareness of letters and sounds. So I would suggest you, if you can make a note of it right away. I repeat, it's 26 letters in English language and 44 sounds. Out of 44 sounds, we have 24 as consonant sounds and 20 as vowel sounds. Likewise, 21 consonant letters and 5 vowel letters. Let's move on to this important slide of the day. Like we have discussed a lot the other day about this sound production. Well, I'm going really in detail for our betterment, because it is very important why a certain sound picks up the way it is being picked up, why certain sound takes only that specific mouth organ when enunciated, and why you're not supposed to replace that particular mouth organ, because your guideline says very clearly the sounds such as m, n, you're supposed to give a nasal tint to it. That is these are your nasal sounds, and hence you need to have the enunciation right from your nasal cavity. So I cannot give it to through my tip of tongue, for simple reason my guidelines, my rule book says m and n is are your set of nasal sounds. So let's move to the slide to understand sound production once again. So this is, I'm sure you got the idea by now. So these are your mouth organs. More or less all these Mouth organs are helpful for, enunciating the 44 sounds in English language. So the major challenge here in Andhra Pradesh is, certain sounds, the way it is enunciated, certain words, the way it is pronounced because of a first language interference. So once again, we have nasal cavity, we have, the set of lips, we have your upper teeth, your lower teeth as part of your, sound production organ. We have alveolar ridge. You don't necessarily have to go in such detail about knowing what is a hard palate. Maybe a little understanding can assist you. But however, this can help you to understand the very reason why certain sounds are pronounced, certain sounds are enunciated and the way the words are pronounced. Let's move to the slide, the other slide, which is speech sounds. So we've discussed consonant sounds and we've discussed the vowel sounds as well. To understand the main distinction between consonant sounds and the vowel sounds is made in the following manner. So the following manner, let me give you a little idea about this. So this particular slide that we are discussing now, the second block where my cursor is your set of consonant sounds, and the upper block is your set of vowel sounds. So moving to the consonant sounds and the vowel sounds, to get the clear distinction, let me tell you the basic reason or the major distinction between the consonant sounds and the vowel sounds. If the air once out of the glottis is allowed to pass freely through the resonators, is where your vowel sounds are enunciated. Once again, these set of words where the cursor is being shown are your vowel sounds. So when a sound is produced without any obstruction of air, so there is a free flow, it is free flowing set of sounds. There is no obstruction, that is the air is not been obstructed, and hence these sounds are freely produced, called vowel sounds. Let me give you an example. The first sound E and the second sound E. The long sound E and the short sound E is where your air is freely passed. There is no much obstruction of the air. So hence this is called free flowing sounds, or sounds which do not have the obstruction where your sounds while they are produced. Moving on to the second set of sounds in the same slide, we see there are 24 sounds again, called consonant sounds. So if the air once out of glottis is obstructed partially or totally in one or more places, the sound is called consonant sound. So let's hear it back once again. The other day we were discussing about set of consonant sounds and the vowel sounds. So consonant sounds, the p, b, d sounds, either the obstruction of air is partial, that is partly the sound is obstructed, or the sound is completely obstructed, then the sounds that are produced are termed as consonant sounds. Let's take an example. So the example for understanding the obstruction of partial and complete air, obstruction is your p sound and the b sound. So when I say p, I am releasing the puff of air, but there is no obstruction. So it's partially obstructed. And when I say b, it is completely obstructed because there's a heavy vibration that I sense, and hence these two sounds are category of your voiced sounds, and this is your unvoiced, this is your voiced sound and this is your unvoiced sound. So in p, there is just release of air which comes in, and it doesn't obstruct much while we produce this sound. While in the case of b, the obstruction is heavy because of the heavy vibration that we sense, And to give you a little hint again, you're supposed to place your hand on your throat to understand if it is partial or complete obstruction of air, because each time you sense a heavy vibration, it's a complete obstruction. When you do not sense heavy vibration and you sense a very slight vibration, it is a partial obstruction of air. So this is a technique to understand and get the information what set of sounds take over as voiced and what sounds take over as unvoiced or the voiceless sounds. So moving on to the same slide that we were at, the set of sounds. So these are your 44 sounds in English language list. This is actually a tool, a magic wand to master your language skills, to be better at pronunciation, to be a good speaker. So we will in detail understand once again today to the set of sounds that we learnt. So for the production of speech sounds, we need an air stream. So these sounds all need air stream, and few do not. In other words, the air that flows out of your mouth is modified into speech sounds by the action of certain organs of your body. Thus, an air stream is the basis of speech sounds. An air stream can also be called a moving current of air for the articulation of most speech sounds of most languages. The act that is commonly known as respiration involves two processes, that is taking outer air into the lungs, which is called your inspiration, and throwing out air from the lungs into the outer atmosphere called expiration. The reason I am actually helping you all to know this more in detail is again to relate and understand the fact why it is important for me to go through at this basic level of knowing sounds, the different mouth organs that are really aligned towards producing this specific sound. So let's move on to the same slide to better understand this. So consonant sounds, we'll begin with this as a revision, as a recap today. 24 consonant sounds where my cursor is showing up here from your p, b, t. So let me give you examples for this p sound: pot, cup, puppy, where the p sound is either in the start of the word, or either it is in the middle part of the word or towards the end of the word. The second sound is your bh sound. Words are brick, bubble, cub. So again, the sound was in the start of the word, in the middle of the word, and towards the end of the word. The sound t has examples as tap, trick, pistol, pit. The next sound is your d sound, dark, God, buddy. So I want really you guys to make certain observations in the book to get this to an understanding why we are considering certain examples such as God, bubble. So there are certain sounds which are either in the start of the word or in the middle or part of the word or towards the end of the word. So we have to really get this to an understanding that the sound can be in any part of the word. So that's why these set of examples are being shown. Let's move to the slide again. So the next sound is your k sound. Kite, cat, hawk are the examples. The following sound is your g, goat, signature, bug. Next sound is your f sound, first, proof, defense. Next sound is your v sound, where you enunciate this particular sound with this technique. Look at me. Which is biting your lower lip. It is a vibrating sound. You do not vibrate it heavily, but there is a vibration certainly. So in order to get this sound correctly, all you have to do is bite your lower lip very subtly. So when I say that, I mean biting it and giving out the sound. So it's Victor, valet, and victory. So it's a very subtle lower lip bite. Going back to the same slide, it's wine, fever, approval. And then we have less vibrating sound, which is th sound, thumb, path, author. Then we have the sound, them, mother, right. Then we have sir sound, sip, basic, toss. Then we have a z sound, look at the cursor on this slide, zip, please, was. Now let's look at the board for an example, which is something we all have to keep in mind next time when we are pronouncing this word. One of the highly mispronounced word, for simple reason we all end up giving this as a sir sound, and this is again been replaced to the one more word, again highly mispronounced. So please has a z sound. Let's get this together. Please has a z sound and listen has a sir sound. At least a common mistake in Andhra Pradesh is we all end up pronouncing this word as please and this word as listen. So next time when you're talking, you have to really autocorrect yourself, that is self-correction, and start observing when each time you interact with your own set of people, either friends, colleagues, or your neighbors, how they are giving out these words, that is in terms of pronunciation. So once again, the right technique for this pronunciation is please and then listen. Once again, listen, please. Please has a z sound, listen has a sir sound. Okay, so let's move on to the slide to better understand the other set of words. So moving to the sound sh, the examples are ship, tension, swish. Then the next sound is your j sound that we all have challenges majorly. Coming in from the region such as our places, we do not have this sound in Telugu. Hence, it is little difficult for all of us to enunciate and get the sound in the first go. So, the examples are beige, pleasure, rouge, treasure, all these are the words. The next sound is your m sound, which is money, mammoth, calm as an example. Your n sound has examples such as knife, nine and brown. Then we have ing as a sound. Words are sing, thing, king. And then we have her sound, which is for have, inherent, cohesion as set of examples. Then we have the l sound, which is your little, millet, spill. And then we have r sound, again to keep in mind examples, red, narrow, wriggle. Then we have your w sound, which is your wicked, watch, one, one. So we have to keep in mind this again takes a different enunciation. Look at me for a moment to understand this enunciation. So the enunciation for the sound, let's all look at the board. So the enunciation for this W as a sound, the letter is W but the sound is W. So the difference between the V sound, or rather the V sound that we have discussed about biting lower lip, and this particular sound is they're different in enunciation. So this enunciation takes a technique as if you're about to whistle, as if you're about to kiss, where you get your two lips together is where you'll end up giving this sound. So as if you're about, the moment you say the word welcome, so we are actually getting two lips together to produce or enunciate this sound. So to keep in mind, the sound V and the sound W takes two different techniques, and there are a lot of words in English language which starts with V sound and which starts with W sound. So we have to keep one thing in mind, there are two different sounds with two different techniques, and there are a lot of words which are highly replaced only because I did not get the technique correct. So examples for this are so the first sound is your valet, where I bite my lower lip and I give out the sound valet. The second word is your wallet, as if I'm about to whistle, wallet, wallet, valet, wallet, valet. So this is valet and this is wallet. So you have to get the technique correct in order to give out these words correctly and pronounce these words correctly. So the main reason we are all going through this particular course for foundation in pronunciation, there are a lot of reasoning behind it, to avoid confusion while you are communicating. Well, the listener is listening to you and you are at a very critical conversation, you might end up giving information which can be misinterpreted only because of my mispronunciation fact. And the other thing is to maintain that professionalism in conversation, to avoid the huge turnaround time, because if you end up giving a word or a phrase which can be misinterpreted by the listener, and hence the information that has been taken from the conversation can be further given to somebody. So there's a lot of stakes attached to conversation only because I have not been at that right stage. So in order to avoid all these confusions and to make it more professional, we are all supposed to master this art of communication. So moving to the same slide again, let's understand certain set of words to get the information, and so that we can go back and practice. So let's look at the slide now. So the slide, we've just completed the W sound, where I just stopped and gave you certain examples. Once again, W as if you're about to whistle. The examples are wicket, watch, one, and then we have the sound, the letter J, but the sound is ya. So the words which generally are the example for this are yellow, university, and yacht. So let's move to understand one particular pronunciation where people do not get it right in one go, and we all go by the spelling of the word, which is ideally should not be the case for language such as English, or for that matter language such as French, because these two languages take something called non-phonetic technique. That is, the way I write in the language is not the way I speak it out. So this particular word, the pronunciation as per the letter, it could be yacht, but unfortunately English is not a letter language, and hence it takes the sounds as part of the pronunciation, and that's why this word is pronounced as yacht. So once again, it's yacht, something very close by this, something very close by. So it's yacht but not a yacht. If I say yacht, I am going by the letters, and English is not a letter language by now. We should all understand this. Once again, it is yacht. So moving to the slide, the sounds slide. So these are the set of words that we have just discussed, per, bha. So these are your consonant sounds, and most important to remember is where they are produced, that is the place of the sound production. So there are a lot of consonant sounds which take the place for to produce a sound with both the lips, the tongue tip, or the set of teeth. And how they are produced, that is the manner they are produced is also important. Are they complete sounds or they stop sounds? That is your either they can be termed as voiced and unvoiced accordingly. So looking at the same slide, let's further understand to give a definition for these words, for voiced consonant sounds and the unvoiced consonant sounds. So I would recommend, please take a pen and paper to make a note of this. So your voiced consonant sounds are when air passes by the vocal folds and causes them to vibrate, sound is produced. A consonant that is made this way is called a voiced consonant, and the vibration can be felt by putting your fingers on the front of your throat. Now, the second definition for unvoiced consonant sounds is when air passes by the vocal folds without vibrating them, the sound of exhaled air gives the consonant sound an unvoiced quality. When you put your fingers on the front of your throat, you won't feel any vibration. So, are your unvoiced consonant sounds. So, let's further understand a little bit on the other set of words which is to do with your vowel sounds. So, once again, like we have discussed, the vowel sounds have a different information to give you all, that is the air which is not obstructed while you are producing these sounds. These are your free flowing sounds, hence they are called free flowing as sounds. And the other thing to remember is we have 20 vowel sounds. They are equally important while we are speaking, while we are giving information. For simple reason, they give the emotions, they give expression to your conversation. So, like we all have understood by now, pronunciation is the way words are said and sounds are produced in a particular language. So, pronunciation of individual words, the manner in which words glide into one another. In addition to these set of words, what is most important for us is to also get to the understanding of a topic called word stress. So, when I say word stress, all I mean is simple, the information is the way the word is pronounced. So, the way the word is pronounced is important as well. So, let us understand these set of words, the vowel sounds where I am placing the cursor on. So, what is important out here is to learn the enunciation. Well, I see we are almost towards the end of the session. Let me not start this today, and let me give you some information about how do we understand and learn the enunciation technique. So, the moment you have identified the problem sound in the 24 consonant sounds list that we have spoken just now, we have practiced right now, just identify it. Like I said, the most common sound could be, if you are from a region of our place, that is Andhra Pradesh. So, we might have a challenge with this particular sound, which is your j sound. So, the moment this has been identified, I will give you a little flow chart kind of suggestion in order to learn this sound and achieve mastery towards it. Like I said, this was not in a first language, this is not in my native language, hence I am not able to produce this sound naturally, and that is why I am not able to get this correct while I am pronouncing a certain word. So, let us understand, the moment you identify a problem sound, all you have to do is, let me give you this. So, first identify it. So, identify the problem sound, and then the next step in this is learn to enunciate. So, I learned the technique, like the other day I have given you the example for the j sound, taking j as an example. Something very close to your honeybee sound is your j sound, where you obstruct the air partially and still the air is passing by, hence this sound is produced. So, learn to enunciate is the second step, and then we are supposed to do is your sound drill. Most important in learning pronunciation. So, to understand what sound drill is all about, like my first language never had this sound, hence it is difficult for me to get this sound in one go. So what do I do is I practice to a level where my muscle helps me enunciate this correctly. My muscles get freer, my muscles, my mouth muscle is not really contracted, to not get it in one go. So all I'm supposed to do is do a lot of drill and help us get it there. So sound drill is your zh as a sound. So the drill that you're supposed to follow as part of learning pronunciation is zha, zha, zha. So it's zha, 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 zha. So the rhythm once again is zha, 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 zha. So the rhythm once again is zha, 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 zha. The more I repeat this, the sound gets freer, and hence I will be able to pick up the sound and get it in one go. So sound drill, and then I do is word drill. So when I say word drill, all I mean is get all the list of words which has zh sound in it and start repeating it. Treasure, measure, pleasure, visual, beige, casual, all these are the set of words. After word drill, you're supposed to do is a sentence, the sentence drill. All these are set of words in the sentences is where you're supposed to place it and start repeating it. This is one of the most vouched technique to get the pronunciation, of course, at its best, to learn to get the sound correctly. So once again, identify the problem sound, learn to enunciate it. Then there's a sound drill that you're supposed to follow with a word drill and sentence drill. So this is something you can do it for any sound that you're skeptical about, that you're doubtful to get it right in one go, and also you can do it for the sake of practice for all the 44 sounds, to achieve the mastery. So this brings to the end of the first the session of the day. So I would suggest to you all the sounds that we have learned today, the sounds that we have practiced today, please go ahead, practice it, and if you have any specific questions, you can certainly reach us back. And yeah, we are here to assist you. But the most important thing is start observing. Each time you're talking to people, start listening to news channels, start listening to people who speak better English and whom you look up to, and start these subtle observations from them. So that's about it. I guess we can call it as part of or end of this session for today. And following it up, I'm sure we have further sessions that can certainly assist you to learn the entire course and master it. Thank you for watching.